So get this, there's a new EV on the block, and it's not some sleek Tesla or wild concept from Germany. Nah, this thing looks like a vending machine on wheels. It's called the maybach, and it costs just $7,000. Yeah, you heard that right, $7,000. And here's the kicker. It's already outselling Toyota's entire EV lineup in Japan. No joke. Toyota, the juggernaut, the crown jewel of Japanese automaking, just got sideswiped by a one-seater electric golf cart-looking thing. Now, I know what you're thinking. Come on, how serious can this be? But that's the exact question folks asked when Tesla rolled out the Roadster. And look what happened there. So let's break down how this glorified electric stool is suddenly making the big dogs sweat, and why Toyota should probably stop laughing. All right, let's talk about this Miot. It's not even technically a car, at least not in the traditional sense. The company behind it, KG Motors, is a scrappy little startup out of Hiroshima. The founder, Kazunari Kusunoki, a former Mitsubishi engineer who looked at Japan's jam-packed cities and thought, yeah, what if we just built something that was barely a car? So he made this. The Miot is 2.49 meters long, tops out at about 37 miles per hour, and gives you around 62 miles of range. It's got one seat, 3 pedals, and 4 wheels. And honestly, that's about it. But here's the wild part. At just under $7,000, it's hitting a price point that no other EV comes even close to touching. And Kusunoki doesn't even call it a car. He calls it a mobility robot. Like, dude straight up sees it as the electric scooter of the future, but one you can sit inside. That branding might sound goofy, but it's working. People in Japan are seriously hyped. Now, Japan isn't new to the whole tiny car thing. They've been rocking K-cars for decades, those boxy little rides with yellow plates that squeeze through alleys like butter. But the Maybach? It's even smaller than that. Technically, it falls under a category called a moped mini car, which means you don't need a full driver's license to operate it. But it also can't hit the main roads or highways. Sounds limiting, right? But in Japan's dense urban areas, that's not a deal breaker. People aren't hauling furniture, they're grabbing groceries, delivering sushi, or zipping to the train station. For older folks or last-mile delivery services, the Miot is actually a perfect fit, especially when you consider it costs a third of what something like the Nissan Sakura runs for. And let's not forget, parking in Tokyo is a nightmare. The smaller your ride, the fewer headaches you deal with. In that way, the Miot is less of a compromise and more of a smart play. Here's where things really start to get spicy. This tiny EV, it already has 2,250 pre-orders locked in, and that's before the thing even hits the street. KG Motors only plans to make about 3,300 of these by 2027, and over 2/3 are already spoken for. Not bad for something that looks like a printer with wheels. Now here's the twist. Toyota, the biggest automaker in Japan, sold fewer EVs in their home country all of last year. Yeah, the entire year. A startup with zero mass production history is now outselling the Goliath of Japanese cars in the EV category. It's not just about numbers, it's about momentum. Japanese Twitter and TikTok are buzzing with videos of people squeezing into demo models and laughing in disbelief. People aren't buying it as a joke. They're buying it because it actually fits their lifestyle. Meanwhile, Toyota's still stuck talking about hydrogen and hybrid pipelines. All right, so let's break it down. How in the world do you even make an electric vehicle for $7 grand? Like, a new iPhone costs more than this thing. Well, first off, everything is stripped down. There's no fancy touchscreen, no automatic anything, and no real infotainment. The battery? Tiny. We're talking enough juice to get you through your city errands. About 100 kilometers of range, and that's it. But that's all you really need in a place like Osaka or Tokyo. They use off-the-shelf scooter motors, a lightweight polycarbonate shell, and barely any electronics. Most of the parts are locally sourced, which slashes shipping and import costs. And the production line? Lean as hell. No fancy factories, just good old-fashioned efficiency. Even so, KG Motors admits they'll probably lose money on the first batch. But the goal is to break even, or maybe turn a profit, by batch 2. And if the hype train keeps rolling, they're aiming to hit 10,000 units a year. For a startup, that's bananas. Now look, not everyone's sold on the Maybach. Scroll through the comments or hop into a car forum and you'll find folks saying things like, It's just a glorified golf cart. Or, that's not a car, it's a toy with doors. And sure, they're not completely wrong. It's limited to one seat, can't hit the expressways, and legally, it's closer to a moped than a traditional EV. Plus, most of those pre-orders, they're coming from rental companies, delivery services, and local governments, not average car buyers. So yeah, it's not replacing your family sedan anytime soon. But here's the kicker. It's not supposed to. The Miot isn't trying to be your everything vehicle. It's trying to solve a very specific problem: cheap, local, zero-emission transport in places where big cars make no sense. And in that lane, it's killing it. So here's where it gets awkward for Toyota. For years now, they've been dragging their feet on full battery electric vehicles. Instead, they've been all in on hybrids and even hydrogen. Chairman Akio Toyoda himself has been super vocal, talking about protecting jobs, keeping options open, and warning against going EV only. And behind the scenes, Toyota's been lobbying hard to slow down EV mandates, both in Japan and globally. But while they've been busy playing defense, this little startup just ran right past them, with a literal plastic box on wheels. And that stings. Thing is, the Miot is exposing something Toyota didn't want to admit. There's real demand for ultra-cheap electric mobility in Japan. People want something that fits their daily life, not a $40,000 luxury EV. Toyota might have the tech, but they missed the moment, and the Miot just lit the fire under their seat. Now here's the part nobody's talking about, but they should be. This Miot? It's not just staying in Japan. KG Motors has already hinted that about 3,000 units will be exported to other countries where similar moped car laws exist. That means Europe, parts of Southeast Asia, maybe even South America. Basically, anywhere that's struggling with urban traffic, tight streets, or rising fuel costs. And get this, the global micro-EV market is expected to triple by 2034. That's not just a niche anymore, that's a movement. Cities like Paris and Amsterdam are already banning large vehicles from downtown zones. You don't think they'd jump at a tiny electric cube that takes up half a parking spot? The Miot might seem like a joke at first glance, but when you zoom out, it could be the blueprint for a new kind of urban mobility. And if other companies catch on, this thing could start a domino effect. So here we are. A $7,000 electric peanut just walked into the room and made Toyota flinch. That's not supposed to happen. But it did. Why? Because timing, price, and practicality all lined up, and KG Motors, of all companies, was ready to strike. Now, no one's saying the Miot is going to dethrone Toyota or flip the EV market overnight. But what it is doing is waking people up. It's proving that you don't need 300 miles of range or a giant tablet on your dash to make an impact. Sometimes all you need is something that just works and doesn't cost your life savings. The first Miots are set to roll out in 2026, and if the rest of the world's watching, Toyota's clock might already be ticking. So, now I gotta ask, would you trade your big SUV for something this tiny if it meant no gas bills, no traffic headaches, and parking wherever you want? Let me know in the comments, because this might just be the start of something massive.